So I'm going to do a quick demonstration of a hand reflexology treatment. To start with, I'm going to use a hand salve that I make myself from beeswax, coconut oil and olive oil and there's a few lavender in there and yang I believe on this one. So you just take a tiny bit of the, just a little bit of the salve and rub it into your hands. So it just gives it a little bit of slip. It doesn't need to be completely gloopy, just a little bit of slip. So we're going to start by the reflexology with going to treat the right hand. So we're going to be using the left hand to treat the right hand. You can pause the video at any point if you're stuck, or just rewind it. And I'm going to go through it in a way that I normally treat other people. So to start with, to find some of these reflexes, I'm going to just assume that you know your anatomy and physiology. When you make a fist like this, this will give you a clue as to where some of the reflexes are. So to start with, where your index finger lands, that is the adrenal, so that's useful to know. Where your middle finger lands, that is the stomach. Where your ring finger lands, that is the solar plexus, right in the middle there. That's why when we're a bit stressed, we clench our fists. And the last one, the little finger, lands on the top of the liver. So those are just a few clues as to where things are. And I always start with the urine tract. So rolling my hands up, that's where the adrenal is. Just underneath, that is where the kidney is. So, and then I just do a bit of pressure into the kidney reflex. And then I just take a little sliding movement downwards and out towards the edge of the thumb, towards the bladder. And the bladder sits exactly in the middle of this knuckle and the wrist. So that's where the bladder is. You can give that a little work. I then go to the top of the head. This is the very top of the scalp. So, and then I'm just going to do tiny little caterpillar movements, pressing downwards towards my fingernail for the top of the scalp. I'm then going to go in for the hormones, and this is where you need to put your hands around the other side so you can see where you're going. And the pituitary, hypothalamus and pineal are all very close together in the middle of the top of the thumb there. And that's where I will go in and just give 3 impulses. So 1, 2, 3. I change the direction slightly, and you know you've got it because it feels quite sharp. Next, I'm going to do the rest of the brain. So this is small movements from the top to the bottom of the knuckle there. So just keeping going down. I'm doing this quicker than I would normally treat somebody so that the video is not too long. Normally I would hold each impulse for about 3 seconds each, and then 3. So the brain is this section here. The rest of the brain is about 3 lines. Depends on how broad your thumb is, but that's 3 lines. So the next step is to do the neck. And to do this, the neck is done in 3 stages. The first stage is you slide up with your thumb to the knuckle, and this gives you an impulse right under where you would say your suboccipital area would be. And do that again and again. So that's one of the strokes. The second is the line across the neck here. So again, pressing in, 2, 3, and the last one is downwards. It goes down into the shoulders and the neck, the rest of the area. So that's the neck. The next thing we do is the sinuses and the teeth. Now, the great thing about hand reflexology is that the sinuses and the teeth are a really lovely big reflexes, much easier to access than on the little toes. You can imagine this on a reflex on a toe is about that big. So now we're going to go through the sinuses. So again, I'm taking it right from the top, and I tend to work this down towards the hand. So doing little caterpillar movements to the first knuckle. That's the sinuses in the forehead. The first two fingers of the sinuses in the forehead, according to my training and experience. So great for hay fever or people with sinus issues. So that's the sinus reflexes. Then we've got the sinus reflexes that are next to the nose, the ones that are in the cheeks. So these are what I would call the sinuses in the cheeks. And it's a bit easier to come at this from the side, but you can roll down from the top like that. But you know, as you get close to the lateral side of the hand, it's easier to do it this way. So that's the sinuses. Next is the teeth. And again, I would, you know, it's a bit easier to bring your finger forward. And then you do, this is the top teeth, bottom teeth. So these would be the molars and the teeth at the back of the jaw. And the same on this one. The closer you get to the little finger, the closer you come to the teeth at the front of the jaw. That's according to my training experience. Some would say it's the other way around, but it really, to me, it makes no odds which ones you're doing, but you'll pick up on things. So in my case, I know that this is a bit uncomfortable for me because I've got a few issues in the back of my jaw. Then the next thing to do is you can do the shoulder, but I tend to stick with doing the ears and the eyes. Now, and again, I find this easier to do that way, but you could do it this way. So this is the ear reflex. Again, I'm pulling it down towards the palm of my hand. So this gets right deep into the ear reflex. Then you've got the labyrinth, and then you've got the eyes. Okay, and then once I've got to there, I might just sort of do a bit of a massage and then go in to do the shoulder reflex. The shoulder reflex is here, tucked in under here, so worth giving that lots of attention because it's tight on a lot of people. The next step is to go through the lungs. This is the lung reflex here, this sort of bobble at the top here. And again, I prefer to go this direction, although some would prefer to go that way, but I go this way because, you know, this is the way out. So if you've got congestion in the lungs, I would recommend going in this direction. Again, I'm doing this a bit quicker than I would do a normal treatment, so I'd normally spend quite a long time on each one of these impulses. So that's that. The next step is to do the solar plexus, and when I've got two hands, I would use the solar plexus and then spread out with both thumbs doing this. But because I'm doing myself, I will do it one side and then the other, and then I would also do a bit of what I call, well, what I learnt is diaphragm rocking. So pushing the thumb in, letting your hand sink in, pushing from the back with your other hand so that it opens up. Pushing, great for de-stressing this one. If you're in a state of shock, this is a really good thing to do, or anxiety. And you can follow your breath when you're doing this. So you breathe in and then out, and then you can just rub the rest of the diaphragm underneath the lung reflex there. So the next is the trachea and the airways going down to the lungs. So that's in the direction of the lungs. And then for the stomach, if you remember, this is the stomach reflex. When you roll that finger, that's the stomach. So you come down, is next to the airways, you come down the esophagus to the stomach reflex. So you can just slide down there. And again, I would go down sideways like this. And then you give the stomach a good deep treatment. Next, after that, is the liver. The liver sits in a little triangle. This, bear in mind, this is your right hand, so it sits in a little triangle at the right hand side here. And this again, I would work very deeply, because it's the place we process toxicity. According to my emotional reflexology, it's also where it's anger and frustrations and things like that. And working this area will help give your body the message to process toxicity and maybe let go of some of those little frustrations. In the bottom corner there, you will find the gallbladder. That is again a very tiny reflex, and you can use again the back of the hand. If you can imagine going through the hand and out the other side, that is a particularly powerful way of helping the gallbladder reflex. And quite often it's more uncomfortable this side than it is this side, but bear with it, just hold the pressure for a bit and let it subside. So next on my way of doing things is I will do the large intestine. Now this starts down here where you can just see where the mound of the lateral side of your hand, and you go into the appendix reflex, and some people find this quite uncomfortable, and then do this as deep as you can bear until you get to the liver, and then you need to head across to just above where the bladder was, just underneath that knuckle. You can see that, and then you just caterpillar across, and again as deep as you can till you get to the reflex, the other side of the lateral colon. Then you've got the small intestine, and that's the area sort of inside this area. There's a lot of overlap here, so, and I tend to, because I go across like that, I will then go back to the beginning and then just give very gently little caterpillar movements in the direction of the top, the pink little pinky finger. And again, as I say, I would probably spend a lot longer on each of these reflexes. So that's the small intestine. Now we're going to go into the sort of base, your basis. This is the area that the sacrum and the pelvic girdle. There are lots of things going on here, so you can quite easily spend quite a long time just paying attention as you caterpillar sideways. It's sort of a crab movement. I've got crabs and caterpillars going across my hands now. So anyway, moving from the little finger towards the thumb, and this is a nice deep reflex, and this helps the entire pelvic girdle. Okay. At the end of the pelvic girdle, you'll end up here, and this little dip here, and for some people it helps. I mean, I've got a bit pudgy hands, but sometimes you can actually feel a little dip there. That is the uterus point. So very gently, I would never put any pressure deep this way on that. I'd use the flat of my thumb, very gently work the uterus area. And then I would slide my finger over to the opposite side, and that is where the ovaries are. This, I'm talking about a woman. If it's a man, this will be the prostate, and then this will be the testicle. So very gently work those areas. Then I would turn my hand over, and using my forefinger, I would come like a backward caterpillar now, from the ovary in the direction, this side of the knuckle, heading towards the uterus. This is the fallopian tube. So, okay. Next is going to be the back. So we already know that the neck reflexes sit from the top of your finger to the second joint. It's quite a lot. The thoracics sit all the way, they're very close together on hands. I find the back reflexes easier to do on the feet than on the hands, because this is quite, the neck reflexes are quite long. Then you've got from the joint here to just above that joint, you've got all the thoracic. So there's quite a few steps. There's 12 little steps there, and then you've got the sacrum, and then the coccyx, which is just the other side of the uterus. So you know you've got it because it feels bone-like. So what I do is I support the thumb, the thumb that I'm working on, and then working right from the nail bed, because this is where the atlas and C1 and C2 are. C2, C3. Then you've got C3, C4, C5, C6, C7. So now you're on the CT junction here. So people with a lot of neck pains or poor posture, this might be very uncomfortable. Then you've got 12 steps, not much room, but 12 steps to the next one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, I would spend 3 seconds on each of these vertebrae, and not only are you working the back, but you're also working the nerves that come between those vertebrae and supporting the whole system. I actually think if you only had to treat one part, if you only had time to do one bit of a reflexology treatment, it would be to do the spine reflex, because you're going to be helping the whole body. There we go, right the way to the end. So that's the back. Now, so you've done that side. I then make a pinch on each side of the fingernails, because this is where we've got a lot of our meridians. I'll go, in my book I'll talk about which meridians are where, and so. But this is kind of like a pinching either side of the fingernails. And now we're going to go around down this side, the lateral side of the hand. So and this is where we've got the shoulder we've already seen. So now I'm going to turn the hand over so you can see. Normally when I'm treating people, I'm doing this blind. It's going on behind the hand, but I'll show you here. So from here to the point halfway. So if you think that's halfway, that's your halfway point. So from there you go down the side of the hand to the halfway point. That is where your elbow is. And then I always assume that we're in the fetal position. So we then go back up towards the hand. There are some philosophies that say that you should carry on going this way with the straight arm, but I believe we when we're born, when we're in the uterus, we're in the fetal form. So the arm will be folded back on itself, and I find that really helps. And usually you'll feel it. So there's the hand reflex on the hand. There you go. I'll then go down to the hip, which is again this little notch here, and head up towards the knee, and then little steps back down the shin bone towards the foot. So now I've done all of those. I'm going to focus now on the lymphatic system. I've got Dobie hair on my hands. That's my dog. So we're going to start with the lymphatic system. I always start at this point here, and this is where you pinch the webs 3 times. You give them a little pinch 3 times. 1, 2, 3, and then start this way and then head back towards that. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3. So you're heading back towards this one, and now with your hand flat on the surface that you're working on, you make movements, little steps in the direction of your wrist, very, very gently. And this covers not only the upper lymphatics, lower lymphatics, but also the breast tissue, and there are a lot of reflex points on the backs of your hands which you'll be working at the same time. And that's so you go through each one of these nice and slowly. I recommend doing it slowly and gently, and you can spend 3 seconds on each one of these impulses. I'm doing it much quicker than I would do if I was treating somebody's hand. There we go. So that is a full hand reflexology treatment on the right hand. I would also spend some time doing some energy balancing from the top of the head to the tailbone, and very gently doing some chakra balancing if I was treating somebody else. I sometimes do it for myself as well. So the reflex points are exactly the same on the other hand. You have to remember that our hand reflexes are sort of like this. So the liver is on the right and the heart is on the left. So I'm going to go through very quickly with the left hand what is different. I might do some overlapping just so that you can run in with it. So to start with, when you do your fist, here the forefinger still lands on the adrenal, so the kidney is directly underneath it. This still lands on the stomach, so you know that is it, and that still lands on the solar plexus. But this is landing on the spleen, because obviously we don't have a liver on this side. So this is the spleen where it's landing now. So that gives you a few reference points. So having done my kidney, bladder, top of head, neck, sinuses, teeth, ears, I can't remember the English word for this, balance, in Dutch it's evenwicht, is balance, that's your labyrinth, sorry, there you go, I got it. And then you've got your eyes on here, then you would do the lungs, and then you would do the solar plexus, the same as we did before. After you've done that, you're going to look for doing the heart. Now, I haven't taken my wedding ring off because I don't like taking my wedding ring off. But this is where, if you can think, this is the love line. This is your love part. So you have the lung, and the heart sits under the love line. So, and there are actually, it's quite a big reflex, considering it's such a small organ. It sort of almost covers the whole part there. It's almost in the solar plexus, it's in the lung, and it sort of heads off this way. So I always give it at least 3 impulses on the main hand, and I also work the back, because this is where I find people have their heart ache. Neat physical pain, but this is where the heart ache, emotional heartache, tends to show up on the back of the hand. So that's where I would do that. So after you've done your solar plexus, you do the heart, then you do the spleen. So then you go into the spleen, and again I go from the little finger towards the thumb, heading that direction. Then you do your airways and your stomach and so on. And the rest of the digestive tract runs from just under this knuckle all the way across, down, up and out. So if you can think of it as a back to front C, that is the movement you're going for. So when you're doing the transverse colon, you go across this way and down towards towards the crease, where, if you can imagine that, and then you go heading off out that way. So that's the rest of the digestive system. And then you've got the small intestine the same. Everything else is then exactly the same as it was on the right hand, but obviously on the left hand side. So I hope that's helped you, and I hope that you've enjoyed this. I am in the process of writing a book about this so that anybody can give themselves a treatment, and I hope it's helpful. Thanks for watching. Speak to you soon. Bye.